Okudzeto ablakwa kofa bai. Asanso akwa kofa biaba. Days ago, Okudzeto ma yeti asese or the big expose eba. Na sa expose no ebema Ghana fo hu MPP4. Senya wo mutrim esum. Ende Okudzeto e di expose na ba. Expose no or the documents, evidence e di aka ho. Na yebekom, it might be a long one, but ehu hia video we se obehia. Ubehu etrimodensem a enkrofo omoye politicians omudi wo krom ha. In the name of free SHS, senya sebe eduane a asay poisoned food, expired food, ye package, ye repackage, ye di akwa akoma ye nkola omuko school ewo Ghana ha. In the name of free SHS, you'll be shocked. Yen konsem ni mu. Or say money over lives. When carelessness, unbridled greed, and uncontrollable corruption combine to risk the lives of Ghana's senior high school students. Into what to expose anything money over lives. What say it's modern sem, enibresem, katashishane proye nini na MPP4 dia boom. Edema Ghana SHS nkola omo lives no ye risk no. Osi painstaking parliamentary oversight has uncovered a ground callous, dangerous, murderous, and corrupt scheme that puts the health of senior high school students in extreme jeopardy. My unimpeachable investigation reveals how a chronic company was allowed to criminally repackage over 15,050 kg bags of expired and contaminated rice into different 50 kg bags without expiry dates under the full protection of MPP political heavyweights. I say the latest expose we know. Emo 15,000, emo bako 15,000. Eye 50 kg bags are assay. Senya MPP4. Omo ye free ne contain emo assay emu. A repackage edi egu bibi fufuru mu asa bibi fufuru no. Sebe yamfa expiry date anya den antale ho. So that obi enhu say eduane na yede koma SHS nkola na say 15,000 bags of 50 kg. Unim 50 kg rice boto kese no. Because ketwane na 5 kg into ketwane 10 50 kg 15,000 bags. Also this expired and contaminated rice was then delivered to senior high schools across the country and fed to students. Say muya say yede call SHS and yede man kolano emomokoko die. On 20th December 2023, the Ashanti Regional Office of the Food and Drugs Authority received an alert from a patriotic Ghanaian about a suspicious repackaging exercise which had not been authorized by the FDA. Inti we enyo Okudzeto enumu nsem FDA eye aban asweye Food and Drugs Authority. Almost last year 2023 20th December. Last year na obi be yi omokoko say hey nkrofu bi di bone inwane a asay enomo package. And so say this unauthorized repackaging was shockingly being carried out at the storage facility of the National Food Buffer Stock Company in the Ashanti region. Na bebi anomo yi omudisa ewudisemi Ashanti region National Food Buffer Stock Company. Na sa National Food Buffer Stock Company ni pakra wa hweso nanabi. Tremo. Nanabi appointments at Nipakra wa hwesa ade isui nanabi. This was in 2021. I don't know says no onyo no head ya. But 2021 ose nanabi Hanan Abdul Wahab to head National Food Buffer Stock Company. It's nanabi MPP4 national organizer friend in nanabi. Ono and as a National Food Buffer Stock Company oye penia wadano. Inti yese omo ena no mudi sa nyambra nsemi. Ose when FDA officials acted on the alert, it emerged that a similar alert had been received by the Ashanti Regional Police Command, and the command had promptly moved in to close the storage facility. Into FDA 4 years, omo eko acte on alert ne so, eno muhu say, oh, say police for kra edinkan alcohol because obi insu eyi police for asu 3. Or say the FDA and the Ashanti Regional Police Command then commenced investigations into the matter. Into FDA for the police, FDA for say the police for so mo dinkan alcohol dia yenye collabo ni yenye investigations say wa same way mu because we dey would disem umbe so mu kum yen kola man. Or say the Ashanti Regional FDA's investigations revealed the following. Or say the following damning findings as contained in an intercepted report signed by its Ashanti Regional head, John Laye Odai Tete. Inti in some way Okudzeto di tuja no enyo no nenu nsem. Police for ne FDA for eye investigations ewie ye no. In some way wo mo tro ye fa investigations den ho no. Omo de tuja. Inti Okudzeto ebe kenkan magana fo ehu. Eye report bia amba bonten. Ose 1. Moshosho rice, 25% broken white rice with registration number FDA/CE 2701 was imported from Lamens Investment Africa Limited. Into yes, a mobi wo ho na 25% broken rice. And ye krade ba e mo ye fenu moshosho rice. Osi 2. The notified party is the National Food Buffer Stock Company. Into no emo ne yade ba no omo beje omo ede bro omo National Food Buffer Stock Company. Ananabi wadano. The rice was exported from India by Satya Balaji Rice Industries BVT Limited. Emono ye craft India near the buy. In all, 33,000 bags of 50 kg bags of rice were imported. Emuni na ye de buy 33,000 bags of 50 kg. That is emono container ma and ye cry edi free India e buy. Also, the National Food Buffer Stock Storage Facility in Kumasi received 22,000 bags of 50 kg rice by the time of the alert, whilst the remaining 10,000 bags were being kept at a bonded warehouse in Tema known as Limbrock. Iti embra alert e buy no. Na say mui 22,000 bags e wo Kumasi. Ena Tema nso 10,000 bags e wo Tema. Now, 6 points. Also, Lamens Investment Africa and National Food Buffer Stock, realizing that the best before date for the moshosho rice was December 2023, started criminally repackaging the moshosho rice from its original yellow 50 kg polypropylene bags into white kg polypropylene bags with the inscription Sidao ECOWAS Regional Food Security Reserve. Iti omodi amone bae, omokwa kra amone bae wie no mehu say yey emui a expire wie. Yeesh, emui di a expire. O hwe emono kotoku ne ho a ya true expiry date. Dama emono nso bedru Ghana no. Na to say a expire ne sa. Ene sa dia yen repackage. Yen yi kotoku ni na. Ni yen fa ye kotoku nhye ho. Yen ye kotoku no, yen tro ECOWAS din e wo ho. 7th, whilst the best before date on the original moshosho rice packaging was December 2023, there was no date on the new bags being used for the repackaging. This contravenes the General Labeling Regulation LI 1541. Omudi ku container foforo mu no anakotoku foforo mu no oman fa expiry date anto ho. Na eno nso etiambra say o pese o repackage aduane bia e wo say expiry date ye den e bo ho. 8 points. The country of origin, India, was also changed to Ghana, concealing the true identity of the rice and creating a false narrative that Buffer Stock and the Free SHS Secretariat were distributing made in Ghana rice. Emo akrafi India ba, omo packaging no, kotoku no omo made in Ghana, so that ye the better than Crawford say, oh, Free SHS semwe ye che made in Ghana ediane, Free SHS ediane a ye che no, ye made in Ghana ediane, eni ye che. MPP4. And they used it for campaign in this country. So much more made in Ghana no more. I said this illegal repackaging was carried out without FDA's approval as required by law. Oh yeah, repackaging and a packaging will krum habiana. I was say will be FDA. Omo be FDA. 10th point. The National Food Buffer Stock Storage Facility had neither been licensed for storage or repackaging contrary to the Public Health Act 2012. National Food Buffer ya wo moye repackaging ye mo kwan ye mo license enye obi akeke no betumi package aduane ye mo license so mo package aduane no mo package ye. It was determined that the NAFCO storage facility had no qualified or trained person to supervise its activities. In fact, se wo package aduane kra na wo se obi a wonim mu wagye ho nimde e wo license etena ho. Obi eni ho sa ejina omo anka na omoye ti package ne kra no anything could go wrong. Contamination totally. President Ekufado's appointed CEO of the National Food Buffer Stock Company is Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab. He is also the MPP's parliamentary candidate for the Pusiga constituency. As I've told you, Edin Ayetrese Nanabi Ene Anan Abdul Wahab Aya formo as a National Food Buffer Stock Company heads no and Okudzeto Etre. Say yes, MPP parliamentary candidate for Pusiga. Oh no. The board of the National Food Buffer Stock Company is chaired by MPP's national organizer Henry Nanabuachi. Intino Nanabi. Also, as I've told you earlier on, no problem. It is most instructive to note that the importer Lamens Investments Africa Limited has admitted to its wrongdoing and agreed to pay an administrative fine of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Inti wosha sa Lamens ya omoka sa adie we say yedi eduane no eba Lamens company no me pesa me tell the role they played. Lamens for no omo no mo package omo no mo import eduane ne bae Lamens Investment Africa Limited. Omo no mo ko fa mo ko create eduane ni free India ebae. Inti omo de omo so omo ajo mo fun so atum say eduane na ye de bae na ye expired. Ye de bae na nkrofu yi pese eduane no omo package repackaging ya atum. Inti no ye de fine eto omo so say wo munti 100,000 Ghana cedis. Emo muti ae. See, indeed, additional intercepted documents confirm that Lamens paid a 50% deposit of the fine to the FDA amounting to 50,000 Ghana cedis. It was received by the FDA on January 5th, 2024. See evidence of payment and Lamens' admission of guilt attached. In the evidence, Okudzeto, and this is the report. FDA for any police for investigations, reports, findings, summary and Okudzeto Okudzeto Inti enkrofo no indeed sa enkrofo mko kra mo ne bae no omo de omo ajo mo fun so atomo a omo tie sika no at least 50%. No evidence da ho etrese wo mo tie 50%. Inti amo ne bae no na ne packaging eni omo de bae a wo mo hu say expire no e no mo de ECOWAS de e ba betale ho. These are criminals in this country. Now, yento aso Lamens for our mutia 50% now from maintenance ya behun said dabi. Or say Lamens has since refused to pay the remaining fine. Typical of sweetheart deals and the Kufuor Bawumia government. Lamens Investments Africa Limited was single sourced. The company has no proven track record. Company ya from Lamens yi. Omokra no munye adwuma yeda. Eni edi ko show monsa wo makwakọ import emo a spy asay e de brega na for. Na enkrofu ikra no enye competitive bidding. Ye di adwuma no contract no ehye wo monsa. Ubekom ne kra no na sa Lamens kra no. MPP mpanyimfo na ehye ase. Ose Lamens was incorporated on 20th July 2020. Its directors are David Ejefi Mensah and Simon Ejei. An intercepted internal memo from the Ashanti Regional FDA dated 29th December 2023, copy attached, reveals that initially the FDA intended to fine Lamens Investments 150,000 Ghana cedis, dispose the 15,000 bags which had been repackaged at the time of the alert, and issue an immediate desist order to stop further repackaging. However, intense political pressure thwarted the FDA's original plans. See FDA internal memo attached. Okudzeto Blackway to Miakwakonya FDA for internal memo message a womo senya mo ho a womo tre say na nkrofo ikra no yepese ye fine omo 1.5 billion old cedis. Yeria satam no mo ache mo no amaka 15,000 bucks. Into na 15,000 bucks no ni yepese ye share mo no kra ye say no because ye mo asay yentumi fama Ghana in kolaso mundi. But MPP 14 same way no mama what say FDA eye aban aso eye. Inti MPP 14 same way no enom the pressure eto FDA for so ema FDA for etwentwen ya omontumi take sa action no. I said Ashanti Regional Police Command in an intercepted letter dated 21st December 2023 signed by JJ Boy, Superintendent Crime Ashanti, wrote to the Ashanti Regional FDA Director requesting assistance in conducting an examination of the repackaged rice. Shockingly, even before the test results would arrive from FDA Accra, a reckless order came from above that the repackaged rice be distributed to senior high schools. Inti Asante Memu police for who say adie we di ntwa yie no. Omo tro enkrata eba enkran FDA because enkran no ene the main branch. So mo tro enkrata ba enkran FDA for say yesremo. Yehu ni say aduane no enye but ye pese finally no mo sanso ye nhwehwemu ewo aduane ni ho ema yen ni ehu bebia ase ya kwakodu ayede man kola se omonye de womundi. Anche na yese order from above. Yesi aduane no he aseyo se den yo monko chema Ghana nkola no mundi. I said the FDA eventually submitted the test results, also known as Certificate of Analysis, on the 6th of February 2024. Intercepted copies attached. Irrefutable investigation showed that the expired and contaminated repackaged bags of rice were already distributed to schools on the 2nd of February 2024, some 4 days prior. FDA for still omo report by analysis na krano Okudzeto e dia kan sa expose we ho. Tre say nini na no e show say eduane no aye expired, aye contaminated. Now so still ye koche Ghana nkola emomu die around February 2nd of February 2024 and ye koche eduane ma Ghana nkola. If authorities had waited for the FDA test results, the repackaged Mushosho rice would have all been destroyed and not fed to our SHS students. See attached to this publication evidence of the distribution of the repackaged, expired and contaminated rice to senior high schools such as Presec, Konongo Odumase and Boga girls. In Krofa yedi ejani kokomomo Presec, Konongo Odumase and the Boga. Omoni yedi ejani we ekokomomo. Note that Presec serves as the centralized warehouse for all senior high schools in the Greater Accra region. That means all senior high and TV schools pick up their supplies from Presec. Now Presec no, a school bia, ye pesi ye che bibi ewo enkran schools ni na ye di kan e de be gu Presec. Inti indiane na ye de be gu Presec no na tre se enkran schools ni na no ekoye. Because school bia ba beje ne dia okọ Presec na wakọ akoje, okọ Presec na wakọ akoje. As the further checks confirm that these schools received the repackaged rice, which did not have a best before date. In Shishemu Sanso say indeed, eduane no koko piemu wo Presec no, other schools won cry ni na ensa kan. Headmasters have told me they raised reservations, but they were simply ignored. Eduane no koko do schools na headmasters no be eduane so eduane we dey say. Eduane we amode bre say faman college dey say. Headmasters ne can be in few. Or say headmasters have told me, headmasters are catching one no Okudzeto or your investigations. No. Or say this is the more tragic part. Now see, asema wakani na no, die ehunwom afianso wode betuja yentie asem no die ehunwom. Or say unfortunately, the FDA certificate of analysis on the repackaged rice samples shows significant presence of insects and a high fat acidity. FDA for investigations are mo aye no etre say eduane no emmoa wom ena ye ka fats srade acidity unim acid into fats acidity. Let's check for the meaning of fat acidity. Fat acidity. Fat acidity definition. Yeah. I'll say fatty acids. No, fatty. Fat acidity. What is high fat acidity? So the meaning of fat acidity. The meaning of fatty acid is acids, blah 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 blah. Charlie, I'm not a biochemist, so I'm not getting the meaning, but I'll find the meaning for you. Okay, so this is what Google is saying. Or say high acid value, also known as a high acid number, indicates that a fat has deteriorated and has a high level of free fatty acids. And see, listen, I'm not a biochemist, and so if I am wrong, don't find me. But you can't a high fat acidity. That's what it's saying. Naturally, say there's high acid in the fat. One say fat ebi nye. The no fatty acids ebi wo ho a what you say. Now ebi wo ho a fat no acid the wom ye too high entwa yi enye ba ko sei nti eno na trese wo hwe a omo etre. So basically a fat with high number of acid is a fat with high number of acid is said to be well, let me see what it's saying. A fat with high number of acid is said to be what? So wait a question. India for question. Anyway, let us continue with our expose. Inti or say insect and a high fat acidity. Medical doctors have engaged with this FDA laboratory evidence speak of grave health consequences for our SHS students. So Okudzeto say, on the doctors akasa wa motre say, hey, adie we die. Dachi ebeha nkola ipan. Or say according to doctors, the health implications of consuming rice with high fat acidity and insect infestation are multifaceted, encompassing immediate digestive symptoms, potential allergic reactions, and long-term health risks, including chronic inflammation, liver disease, and nutritional deficiencies. Short-term effects are generally uncomfortable and may discourage consumption, but the long-term impacts are insidious, potentially leading to irreversible health consequences if consumption continues over time. Inti onu Okudzeto doctor semoni na kasa achese adie we ebetumi akose liver disease kra. Inti daachi bi nkole ya ma omo aduane we omo di. Daachi bi e wona brabom obekoso obehwe na ebia yese ne liver atochema obedwe ho adwen ehe na efri. Se SHS aduane ya de ma na okokodi ye no. Eno e na ye ne sa. But on dwen hu ne se eye no e na ye ne sa. Wan hwe ya okonyo osofu mokobia ne ye de hye ne nanabi. Se media me yede na menya liver cancer. Media me yede na menya liver cancer. Se ye diane na yede man kola ne so mundi. Or say long-term gastrointestinal and microbial health risk. Ingesting insect-contaminated rice regularly poses risk to gut health. Insects may introduce harmful bacteria and parasites, disrupting the delicate balance of gut microbiota. Repeated exposure to pathogens and potential parasites can weaken gut immunity and contribute to dysbiosis, where harmful bacteria outcompete beneficial gut bacteria, increasing susceptibility to chronic GI disorders like irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Hey, Okudzeto abla and then the other medical doctor. But I mean, it's a very serious thing. What I say? Ediane ankola edini na no. Esanse mboa wo minti omu di kokoshe omumu a. Emmoa no etumi introduce bacteria emma nipa system ni mu a. Sa nipa system no onye free with sa mboa bacteria no. Inti we die diane nanso we dia ko mu. Emmoa no akwa akoshe omu emma trese omo release substance bi a just say o intestines no emma o yare. As furthermore, certain insect components like chitin may be difficult for some individuals to digest, potentially leading to chronic digestive issues and discomfort over time. Mycotoxin exposure and carcinogenic risk. Long-term injection of rice contaminated with mycotoxins due to insect presence or spoilage can be particularly harmful. Aflatoxins and produced by certain molds in warm, humid storage conditions are well documented carcinogens. Okudzeto went on to provide the evidence as you are seeing right here. This was the request for assistance from Ghana Police to the FDA. FDA for reports on the buy and this answer. So these are indeed documents whatever Okudzeto Ablakwa is talking about happened. I say, particularly linked to liver cancer, chronic low-level exposure to aflatoxins and contaminated rice can accumulate over years, leading to an increased risk of hepatic cancer and other liver disorders. Nutritional deficiencies and long-term health impacts. When rice becomes rancid or is infected by insects, its nutritional profile can deteriorate. Such deficiencies over time may contribute to weakened immune function, poor growth in children, and compromised energy levels among adults, ultimately affecting quality of life and general well-being. Nti emo asay udia yewo system bi wo yemu efe ni immune system a tre se okun emayen. Nti se boni bi wura wo system mu a sa immune system ni no yeden okun. Nti emo asay se ukokodi a de eye ene se a weakens our immune system is soldier. Immune system is more like a soldier in your system. It is our soldier now wo mu no ukodi emo asay a weaken no. Nti eno no ye we ya mayare bia. You see, that is why ya na nkrofo say HIV is na a deadly disease, because na HIV is no de eye say ora system ni mu a obe weaken immune system no. Nti o weaken immune system na afa yare bia to me ball. Yare bia. What you say? It was say food poisoning and toxins, spoiled rice with high fat acidity can harbor mycotoxins, especially if exposed to fungal growth during storage. Mycotoxins are toxic compounds that fungi, particularly molds, produce as they colonize food products. When rice is stored improperly, the risk of mold contamination increases, making mycotoxins a danger. Short-term exposure to these toxins can cause nausea, vomiting, and liver distress, with certain mycotoxins such as aflatoxins and recognized for their acute toxicity. Long-term health effects. In this idea way, in long term, that should be effective to me having one colane so chronic inflammatory response. Long-term consumption of rice with high fat acidity may contribute to systemic inflation. Oxidized fats contain peroxides and aldehydes, compounds that can promote oxidative stress in body and drive chronic inflammation. Persistent oxidative stress is linked to a higher risk of developing metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disease, and even certain cancers due to ongoing cellular damage. The inflammation is exacerbated by the injection of oxidized fats that accumulate from habitual consumption of rancid rice. Smith 2020. Inti Okudzeto liste doctors in semwa womo kan. Ati ase doctors in semwa womo atra to ho se emo a ewo condition we be mu udi a de ebetumi ayeden ebeye wo. And let me say this, and every doctor will tell you, at the heart of every single chronic illness biano inflammation. At the heart of every chronic illness bia inflammation. It is a what to say. Yes, say eduane bi be cause inflammation a die. Na okwa doctors ho say wo mon check your system a, the first thing they check inflammation. Internet ya na ye ka say eduane bi wo ho a anti-inflammation si wo didi a make sure say anti-inflammation enyama ewo wediane mu, so that say wo inflammation, especially fruits and vegetables no as a cure inflammation pan, because inflammation is the heart is the root of a lot of chronic diseases. Inti dear Okudzeto can say mui doctor I friend Smith in 2020 waka say emu bi say ukokodia wan hwe ya da chekre to me ma wakomayare. Here I have told people say Ghana krom hayati notice here enkrofo di 60-70 per na all sorts of diseases na simple dey 40 na stroke, cancer, and kidney. Sa nyama we na ye aduane ayedi o. Most of the food we are eating, most of the food being prepared for us, no, people are using contaminated, contamination, and day mayen. But we have yeni sheye efa ho, and day mayen yensu ye di na trese contamination. Ye bro, ye bre papa, kromha, ye bre rough. I say sadly, my parliamentary oversight affirms that all the 22,000 highly contaminated repackaged infested and high-fat acidity rice have been consumed by our children in senior high schools across the country since February this year. Okudzeto trese emuni nina nkolane dinina. Considering that the Moshosho rice expired in December 2023 and that distribution to schools was carried out in February 2024, coupled with the fact that these food items are stored over several months before they are completely consumed in dining halls, we can only imagine the levels of contamination by the time the students consumed the entire quantities. It is totally unacceptable that the politicians and their business partners who conspire to put the health of our SHS students at great risk have not been made to answer for their crimes. And Okudzeto also say, Act 851 is not ambiguous. A person who manufactures, labels, packages, sells, or advertises a food in a manner that is false, misleading, deceptive, or misbranded as regards its character, nature, value additives, substance, quality, quantity, composition, merit, or safety commits an offense. Okudzeto eba beridi Ghana, embra, atrese wadini nina eto aswa. What is encrofuya dia womaye omo abogana bro. Be subjected to this unwarranted carelessness just because an unscrupulous few seek to enrich themselves for God and country. And this is the expose from Okudzeto Ablakwa. Omo awomo ekran ya nene bae no odi omo mfoni atututuja. Omo mfoni Okudzeto ede atuja. Intino nanabi mo any documents ati ase David Ejefi Mensei onuni ati ase ne company osha enya asem ketwa that is what is going on. It's here for Montreal mo adwen e wo comment box ni mo bedase.